Remember the COVID lockdowns in 2020? I know it's hard for anyone to forget, but I remember I was one of those people that was bouncing off the walls. I don't like sitting in too much. I'm an active person, but I have to say, when we were stuck in our houses and couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, couldn't go to the gym, I was just, like I said, I was going crazy and I was starved for entertainment. There's only so much old TV shows that I could watch, and I have to say there was a few gems that I did uncover during that time that was bright spots, and there were very few of those in that time. But that was the time where I found shows like Cobra Kai and Squid Games, and I have to say the most satisfying that I found was Stranger Things. And I'd heard so many people talk about this show, and I was like, you know what, I don't have anything better to do, so let me go ahead and check it out. And when I watched season 1 of this, I have to say I got hooked on it, and I ended up binge watching all of it, first 3 seasons, and I loved it. And to me, it's important for Stranger Things to stick the landing, because a satisfying conclusion, it's crucial for the series' long-term legacy. I mean, people will talk about this for years if they stick this, and a strong finale, like I said, it can redeem anything that was, people perceived as lesser seasons or flawed seasons, which I didn't have any issues with any of them. I know some folks had problems with season 2 and season 3. I thought they were all pretty solid. Were they as good as season 1? Well, no, because season 1 was just phenomenal, and it was one of the most perfect seasons I've ever seen in television. And that's saying something, because I don't usually, give those kind of accolades for most things that are modern right now, because let's face it, the entertainment industry hasn't really delivered for us. But this show here, like I said, it's a gem, and it's a great story. And for the Duffer Brothers, I mean, they have to achieve a fitting end. And to me, fans that are invested in this now. We've spent years in the characters and storylines. We've watched these kids grow up, so the ending needs to feel earned, and it needs to provide a sense of closure. A disappointing, finale, it can leave viewers with a very bitter taste. And I'm talking to you, Game of Thrones, Sopranos, Lost. There's several of them that were great shows, but they just couldn't stick the landing, and it's a shame because, I mean, like I said, if this show sticks the landing on it and it nails the end, people are going to talk about this for years. And at its heart, Stranger Things, it was about the bonds and friendships and the storylines and the world building, and it was just unique. It's just something we don't get very much of nowadays. And each character has their own storyline, and it was awesome. And the 80s nostalgia with it, it was just something that it was a perfect touch, and I loved it. And my kids like it, and actually my whole family watches it. We can't wait for the finale. And like I said, a strong conclusion. It can forgive or overshadow some of the missteps that people had with some of the other seasons, but like I said, I thought they were all solid. I mean, I liked season 2, I liked season 3, and season 4, let's just be real, it was phenomenal. And a great ending is what audiences are going to remember most, so it has to stick the landing, and it has to be successful for the series in retrospect, because if it doesn't do that, people are not going to want to go back and rewatch it. And the final season, it has to wrap up the central conflict with Vecna and the Upside Down, and it needs to explain what it is. They can't leave any stone unturned, because we need to know how that is. They need to wrap it up in a nice tight bow, because let's face it, man, we don't have a lot of that. We need that. And I know, in this show, there's a lot of rumors and what's going to happen and that's what makes the show so cool, because when was the last time we actually had a show where it was like, locker room talk about it, or water cooler talk, or whatever way you want to put it, but people are talking about this, and it's actually cool, because we haven't had that kind of interaction in a fan base in quite some time. So I think it's really important for the Duffer Brothers to stick the landing on this, and I, for one, I hope they do, because I've really enjoyed it, and I would really like to continue to go back and rewatch it. I don't know, man. Let me know what you think about Stranger Things. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Stranger Things. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.